and I guess we can't have a conversation without referencing the current business climate.
Yeah.
So can you just give us some idea of, I mean, has it been business as usual for you guys, or have customers had particular stresses and strains because of, different working practice with the pandemic, or can you just give us some insight into that?
Yeah, so Philip, it's an unprecedented economic climate. I think if anybody said to you it's business as usual, I don't think they'd be completely honest with you. It's definitely not business as usual. But we, as a company, we decided as the epidemic started to roll out that we wanted to position Curvature more as the company that would help, opposed to the company that's going to struggle. So what's happening in the big data centers? For sure, what's happening is decisions are being slowed down dramatically. And the reason for that could be as simple as getting hardware delivery. As we know, at the beginning of the epidemic, when we're going through a lot of the manufacturing works done in China, there were a few delays in trying to get hardware. That was the beginning of the problem. But then there was the roll-off of that problem, which was, we are the people to help us roll out a new project. I want to replace all my servers, or I want to roll in VMware, or I want to virtualize, or whatever it is I want to do, which is the general stuff that's happening in the data center. There were these delays that were caused. And with those delays, in the maintenance world, you have almost quite a defined time. I'm going to end my maintenance and I need to start new maintenance. And generally speaking, if I'm going to start new maintenance, that means I then have to go and resubscribe to a maintenance provider to do that. So part of what we try to do, and we've been very successful, is to say to customers, look, let us become the stopgap. Let us work with you through a short-term contract. So in other words, instead of trying to say, sign up for 3 years, we'll say, let's sign up for 3 months. And we're helping corporates with that first problem that the pandemic has created, which is the delay problem. Delay of people, delay of hardware, delay of projects. The second piece is, and we can allude to a lot of industries, we see it in the UK all the time, if it's retail, if it's airlines, these companies are under tremendous pressure. So what does that really mean is they're going to try and save as much money as they can from an OpEx perspective. That's the quarterly or monthly or yearly operational running of the business type of costs. And maintenance fits into that category. So again, where the third-party maintenance, which is this independent approach, independent of the traditional way of doing maintenance, we can go to customers more aggressively and offer them generally, it's about 50% less than what they are paying on their current maintenance contracts. So the second piece of how we try to help companies is really to try and lower that OpEx expenditure. And the good news is they will see it within a 4-week period. So the moment they stop their current maintenance and switch to the next maintenance, they'll see that difference almost instantaneously. So that's a big benefit to customers. And then finally, the third point is we have a good professional services offering around Curvature, and that's really around staff augmentation. So what we've seen is the traditional IT business, because people are working from home, they've been moved more to developing and helping on the front end, getting your VPN to work, making sure you can connect, making sure that those updates that need to go through at the customer user end are happening. And what we've been doing is helping augment the data center by being the backfill on short notice. So a customer could phone us up and say, well, look, we need to do some quick patching on some patch panels. Can we have an engineer tomorrow? And we'll make sure we have an engineer tomorrow. And this is all on a global scale. So that's sort of what we're trying to do as Curvature. But it is difficult because it's a very dynamic, very changing environment. And I don't think it matters where you are in Europe, per se. I think everybody's finding it difficult. So I know a long answer, but I hope I answered your question.
That's great. And I guess longer term, I know there's clearly a lot of uncertainty further ahead as to when we will or won't come out of it and what it'll look like. But obviously digital transformations on many people's roadmaps. So I guess the question there would be, you know, a lot of digital transformation is about embracing managed services, cloud, you know, a mixture of internal resource outside. Are you finding third-party maintenance is becoming more popular, or more people are looking at it because of this sort of overall acceptance of outsourcing, I guess?
Yeah, one of our high growth areas for Curvature is what we call ITO business, which is the traditional outsourcers. So our business is quite dynamic because on the one hand, we're helping very large corporate customers. On the other hand, we're also helping channel partners. And ITO channel partners in that managed services world, it's almost full circle. I remember when people were bringing things back, and now what I see is them taking them out again. It's quite funny. It's gone a full 360 degrees, which I'm sure you're seeing as well, Phil. But ITO business is, at the end of the day, what ITO's value proposition is to a customer is that they can do, because of their scale, they can do a lower cost proposition to the customer from an IT outsource management perspective. But we are very key to that, because how we help the ITO lower the cost is we provide a much better value prop to them than a traditional mechanism doing maintenance. And remember, this is the really key thing that's happening in the industry, is prior to COVID anyway, customers are hanging on to their IT equipment longer than they have ever before. So I remember, when I started in the IT industry, I was in the hardware industry. It was our goal to go to the customer and replace their hardware every 3 years. That was what we were doing. And we had very clever mechanisms. One of those mechanisms is we used to go to the customer and say, in the 4th year, your maintenance price is going to go up by 30%. So we'll do this cost of ownership for you, and it's actually going to be less expensive for you to buy some new hardware. And that was sort of how we played the game. The reality is customers now are keeping their technology well beyond the 3-year period. We've got customers who are essentially keeping equipment into that 7-8 year period. So where we're helping that ITO and the outsource providers is extending the life of the existing technology. Because the last thing the ITO wants to do is do a refresh because his costs go up. So particularly if he's buying the equipment and owning the equipment. And that's again where we're seeing a big uptake.
Okay, before we finish, I mean, clearly we sort of talked about the Intel announcement, but on the roadmap for yourselves, are there any other sort of, whether it's working with hardware guys or just the company itself, or anything you can share with us as to sort of future plans, I guess?
Yeah, so I think the Curvature will continue. It's like any technology company. We will continue to innovate, and part of our innovation is we will continue to add more products to our product line. And we have quite an extensive product line. If you think of Curvature today, we do everything from a mainframe right down to a simple x86 server. And of course, in the networking side, we'll do everything from a very complex switch right down to a traditional access point. So we have this big stream, but in order to continue to innovate, we have to continue to add new products. So if you imagine, as those products end their 3rd year cycle, it's about us bringing those products back in to our fold for us to make sure we can support them. And to support them, it's not only about having the technical capability, it's about having the spares, making sure that the forward stocking locations are all prepped, make sure that we can deliver and do those bits and pieces. So that's the part of the business that will just continue to go. Beyond that, we are looking very, very seriously at helping customers being independent. One of the biggest value propositions of Curvature is its independence. And we all know that cloud is important. So one of the things that we're offering to customers today, which is new, is to go to customers and offer them an independent cloud advisory. So we're not going to provide you the cloud, but we'll give you an open, clear view on, is the X provider better than the Y provider? Why? Does it meet your requirements? How will it meet your requirements? So that's something that's very key to us, and we see us growing. And that fits very, very nicely into really where we are helping customers a lot today, which is around building a professional services offering. So it's things like ITAD, where we're helping customers essentially remove equipment and destroy it correctly. It's also about moving equipment. There's still a lot of consolidation. We are talking to customers daily who are moving data centers still today. And I would have thought that would have slowed down actually, but it hasn't. And it's the end-to-end thing. So green light to green light. We'll unplug it, label it, make sure it's all right, make sure it goes onto a truck, track the truck to the next data center, put it on install it in the rack in the new data center, make sure the green light comes on, that it's all working, then hand it back. So it's those kind of services which is complementing the data center is where we see us adding more and more value.